This is the Inside Data Center podcast. We talk to the people who power the data center sector to give you insider info on everything happening in DC today. Here's your host, Andy Davis.
Back again inside, avoiding the rain. Allegedly, I haven't been outside. Is it raining outside? Anyone know?
Allegedly has become the theme word.
It has, yeah.
Of this
So
event.
there's data centers. It's funny though, isn't it? The world of data centers is all rumours. So
Yeah.
let's start some more rumours.
It may rain, it may not.
There might be rain in Cannes, but we can't confirm. It might be a delay, or it could be an end of contract.
It's still a beautiful view though out there, right?
Yeah, this is it,
It's
right?
stunning.
We've got the good balance.
Exactly.
The event shots, and we get to look at the view. Beautiful thing. And we're here talking startups. Dave Mitchell, founder and CEO of XYZ. And Alex Goodall, founder and CEO of Xela Energy. Glad to be here with you.
Thanks for having us.
I think as
Pleasure.
well, I was thinking earlier, a lot of the conversations we've had over the last, it seems like 4 weeks, but it's only 48 hours or 24 hours, have been around new technology and innovation and like fresh ideas coming to the industry. And I know we've spoke Dave about it before, and obviously Alex, we've spoken before, but these new organisations cropping up in this industry and bringing new technology, new thought, change to this industry that was quite static. So quite looking forward to hearing your guys' insight from the inside out, what it's like to be a startup in this industry. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, there is huge change in this industry, massive change at the moment. Loads of new GPU power cloud providers coming through. Why are startups thriving right now in this industry? Now, whether you want to kick us off, Dave?
I mean, I've been in the industry now for quite some time, and we're out in the market probably commercially about 4 or 5 years now, and I definitely feel change this year in particular. I think it's a combination of two things. I think it feels like the last few years were like buy, buying land and everything, and enabling what's to come, and now it's build, and people are just and the scale and magnitude of that program is just different level, right? So people are just coming to us now, just going, we're not even going to try the old way. We need something new, and how can we do that? Can you help us? So I'm feeling the love this year.
I remember when I can't remember when we first spoke, but it was early in the days, and you were in that sort of era where you were kind of having to convince people that this product
Exactly.
was a solution, and like you're trying to teach people to use headsets.
Yes.
And these are construction managers that have never used a headset before in their life, whereas now, like you're saying, people are coming to you,
Yes.
seeing the technology and saying, like, oh, we need technology in this industry. What can you offer? It's total change.
100%. And importantly, like, we have our use cases proved out now, right? Early days, you're trying to sell the vision, get them to buy into you. Now you're just getting them to buy into the value that we can deliver.
Yeah, and Alex, from your perspective, again, slightly newer organisation, but again, like a new way of thinking within the industry.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the biggest sort of advantages you have really as a startup is that ability to move quickly. So you look into the market of, even though data and hyperscalers is a relatively new creature amongst large power users globally, they very quickly become one of the biggest power users, right? And some of the biggest companies in the world. And as they've done that, they've become more institutionalized, quite slow moving, right? As much as they want to be fast paced. I think the advantage you always have as a startup is you can outpace anyone, because you can make quick decisions, you can have quick decision making, you can deploy capital faster, to your point earlier. We've been going 4 years now, and that's one thing that we've learned is scalability, move quickly. And since doing the institutional fundraise last year, and with our partner True Green Capital Management from the US, we're now simply build, right? It's deploy that capital. Before we went out acquiring land and land positions around data centers to build large-scale renewable energy assets to solve their power problems, especially during the peak of summer when they're using the most power. And the fact that we can move faster means that fundamentally, from what we've seen, we don't really have any competition, which is a lovely place to be in.
Always a nice position.
Absolutely.
And Dave, you've obviously been in the industry quite a while, and it's changed massively, hasn't it? Like you keep talking about the demographic of people that are here, but also I think the amount of organisations now in this industry and the amount of capital coming in, it doesn't ever seem like there's going to be a slowdown anytime soon. I don't know what you're thinking about the industry as a whole.
100%. I mean, there's plus and minuses to that. Yes, it's great to see it continue to grow, but what we're seeing, certainly from our perspective, and why our tool has become more and more important, is there's a dilution in inexperienced people in the marketplace, right, and talent. So how do we enable those new people coming in from neighboring industries to equip them with the same knowledge and power as some of the veterans? That's really our objective with our tool.
Yeah,
right?
and a few of the conversations we've had have said that, haven't they? Like, technology's a solution. Like, obviously,
100%.
I'm in talent and people.
Yeah.
You can't make them. Like,
Yeah.
people seem to think you can just find more and more people. It's not possible. Every industry's short
100%,
everywhere. It's
yeah.
not just data centers. Everyone's struggling, and technology is the solution to that problem. One of the solutions to that
Absolutely. I mean, it's always people first, right? But it's about, I take pride in enabling them people to deliver more, faster, more efficient. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
So one of the keys about the people side of it is when we're growing quickly and hiring talent, fundamentally we've found if you hire clever people, especially as a startup, because you need people to be able to mold into different job roles,
quite a lot of
potentially.
roles, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. And so fundamentally, if when we're hiring the junior talent, especially, obviously the senior talent, you tend to try and find more specialized individuals and then train them up, right? The junior talent, we can really, as long as we've found those exceptionally bright people, and we have managed to do that as a startup, especially because in the renewable energy sector, it's it's a sexy industry, isn't it? Sustainability, power.
Yeah, I would say that. I feel young people want to change the world, don't they? It's true.
Absolutely. And so being able to have that to entice proper raw talent, you can then mold them into positions. And also, the growth of our people internally, we've gone from my land team to I've got now who's gone into the finance team. We've had someone from the sales team go into the land development team. And we've really been able to have that sort of transition really, really well.
100%. I think just to add to that is having a culture built around autonomy, right? Even the younger crew, give them the responsibility. It's amazing when you just give people responsibility, how much they can respond in I would say a pressured environment, right? You got to move fast.
And also trusting them with it as well, right? So being able to entrust that. At the end of the day, you can always check something if it's right.
Yes.
So being able to empower them and entrust your staff to deliver on their roles, absolutely.
Because startup life, you're literally flying the plane and fixing it at the same time. You hear that all the time.
It's like how long are you a startup as well, isn't it? It's that conversation, because we're talking about your companies like you're a startup, which you are in theory, but you've both been established for
Well, I want to keep that culture for as long as possible.
It's similar in mine. I'm like trying to, I was chatting to someone about it the other day, how do you maintain that startup disruptive, trying to be on the front foot mentality when your business becomes more established and older,
100%.
You still want that mentality and mindset.
I've really found with that is empowering your staff with a challenger mindset. So that's something that I've really driven home within the business is ask questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question, genuinely, and what that often ekes out is difficult questions, difficult answers and problem solving. My staff come to me with a problem, but also that you've thought about a solution to that problem before you've come to me. Yeah, absolutely. And really empower them to try and deliver on those as well.
That's how a lot of startups evolve, though, isn't it? Again, I know I've spoke to you about it before, Dave. You see a problem and you're like, this shouldn't be this difficult.
Yes.
How can I make it easier?
100%.
How can we make it more efficient?
Well, just to add to that, I think the most important thing for a startup is vision, right? When you set a vision that's, super it's forward thinking, it's not too wacky. We're not asking humans to fly, right? But when I say our vision is builders building from holograms and enable a fully autonomous workforce, that's an infinite game, right? It's an infinite canvas, and there's constant innovation you can drive into that business.
But I still find it quite amusing looking back, building from holograms. Again, we had this conversation when you started.
Yeah.
People would be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're crazy.
And now it's
Now
happening.
you're doing it.
Yeah.
And doing it well.
We got some supply chain members building 5 times faster with half the labor now, you know? So really proving that out at scale on a massive project has been a huge success. And again, the success as well is what keeps propelling a startup forward, right? The little moments all add up to the whole.
What about advice you'd give to someone who's listening to this or watching this and is going to launch a startup next year or in the next few months? What's your biggest learning?
Well, I'd say do it.
I was going to say, you say,
Right.
don't do it.
No, do it. I'd say, look, the biggest risk you take, and I think this is something that a lot of people maybe don't consider, is the worst thing that can happen when you launch a business is, for whatever reason, it doesn't work. And then you're back at the position you were at the start, go and get a job, right? And so in terms of taking risks, yes, of course you're taking on risks, and obviously keeping food on the table, but fundamentally it's get on with it. You know, whether it's, oh, I'm not sure of the name. The names, you can think about a new name later, right? The reality is go on, deliver your actual product, test it in the market and make sure it works and get it out there, right? And I speak to so many people with great ideas that, oh, well, I'm not sure about how I'm not. Do it, and do it now. Don't wait, do it now. That's, I'd say, the biggest thing I'll take away from that would be
Embrace the learning
crack on.
along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Embrace the learning.
What
I
about
think
you, Dave?
you have to be obsessed.
Yeah, and
I
I know,
think,
and I know you are. That's why I love talking to you, and I know you're the same.
I think like you need to be ready for the upside and the downside. You need to be ready to eat boiled rice out of a bag, you know, for a week, you know, because there are tough times, right? It's not all glam at the end of the day.
And I think people don't really talk about that.
100%.
You know, I think people talk about the great successes and all the rest of it of every
like they
startup.
were a startup, and now they're a
Yeah.
$5 billion turnover business. Like,
Yeah,
quite a lot
but
happened on that journey.
You don't hear about the challenge, right? And I would say on every deal I've ever done, you know, this is my third business, on every business, including this one, there is always that sacrifice and challenge. And I call it a sacrifice tax. You know, you pay your tax, and then to get the deal done, whatever that deal is, there will always be something that you have to remove all sense of, you know, personal ego about what you're trying to deliver to be able to get that deal over the line. I've always had to pay that sacrifice tax, and whatever that is, whether it's a particularly difficult individual, whether it is a some clause that you don't quite like in the contract, whatever it is, you've just got to get that deal done, because I'd always rather have a successful business and maybe a slightly smaller piece of a successful cake than a big cake with nothing in it.
There's nothing here.
Exactly.
So I love this conversation around like the founder's mindset as well. It's something we embrace at the agency, is that the job's not done until it's done. And this is very much what I'm getting from you guys. Like, be obsessed, get your hands dirty, and just
Whatever it
embrace
takes.
what happens.
I think you hear that you just have to do whatever it takes.
I
Yeah.
do think some people are wired differently, though, aren't they? Like, you can have these conversations if you're that type of individual and you're like, yeah, I agree. Whereas some people, it is, you know, like levels of risk, isn't it? Like, we all have different levels of risk, and it's trying to get, I guess, those in, like the people you're talking about, over that hurdle and say, look, you know, like you're overthinking the risk. Yeah, there's a risk to everything we do. There's a risk to, you know, there was a risk to me crossing the road
Yes.
to come here this morning because I'd had a few drinks last night.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you've got to do it because you've got to get here on time. So
Well, you've only got one chance at the roundabout, right?
got one
What's the
shot.
expression? It's a long time dead.
exactly.
So
100%.
if you're going to do something, just do it. Now, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work. Well, you've learned something, and then you can take that to your next venture.
And I
Without
think
a
you can
doubt.
talk about really small things as well with that. Like, I always say when I started the podcast, I didn't want to start a podcast.
Yes.
But if I never do it, you're never going to do it. So you do it. And it's not always a massive decision.
Yeah, I love
Yes.
that.
It's sometimes the small things that just help you get over a hurdle. And
Yeah, and I'm not saying just, you know, start a startup tomorrow about anything. You have to have conviction. You have to
you need a good
be
idea.
obsessed. Yeah, you need a good idea.
Not only a good idea, you need to be
Validate.
obsessed with the idea.
Yeah.
You know, you need to know that it works, and that conviction will drive the success of the business.
Do you think you need reinforcement though for things like that? Like, what reinforces that decision? Because we could be convicted about something, but someone else could say, yeah, that's not quite right.
Well, it's kind of by design.
Is
The
it
capital-
internal reinforcement?
I think if you're going to start a route from and you're not bootstrapping, well, first of all, the customer will validate it, whether they want to buy it or not. And if you need a capital injection before you get the
That'll
customer,
validate it.
the capital market will validate it for you, right? So there's two routes there to know, to get a good gauge on whether you're going to be successful or not.
Even if you're a disruptor to a market, say,
Yes.
and people often look at new things as scary, okay? And I think it's overcoming that obstacle of new is scary. And fundamentally, some people go, oh, I'm not sure about that idea. Are you sure? You sure? You have to be 100% convicted in your concept to deliver it, and you will get naysayers, right?
I think in this
100%.
and in this market especially, it was very much going back, say 4 or 5 years. It wasn't really open for disruption, was it? Like the industry didn't want disruption because we're quite happy in our own little worlds.
Yeah.
We're completely, changing the way that these data centers procure their power, right? We are building large-scale renewable energy assets down the road from them, so they can go, there's the solar farm over the road,
There's
5
a solution.
kilometers away. There's a solution. We run our own private infrastructure and cable and plug it directly into their building. Now, and they're on, we align our contract lengths to their tenures, so 10, 15 years, for them to procure the power. We do the whole thing. It's hassle-free for them. We fund it, build it, own it, operate it, and we deliver them, like I tell my staff, come to me with a solution, not the problem. We actually deliver the solution to our clients and our end customer base. And so that fundamentally is what we are delivering to them, is sustainable power that's cheaper than what they can get from the grid, that is 100% greens and meets their renewable targets, right, and their scope 2 emissions. So we tried to make it as much of a no-brainer as possible for them to consume clean power. And even then, how are you going to connect to the infrastructure? How are you going to overcome these? You can overcome all these
You're like,
obstacles.
let me deal with that.
Yeah. We'll deal
Don't
with
worry
that.
about that.
You build the next data center, we will connect to your infrastructure and we'll make sure there is no disruption. And we'll even use the people that you want to have as your infrastructure generators and creators and running the cables and the infrastructure on your site. We'll use them if you want, and we'll build the asset and we'll use your subbies to do the connections.
Yeah, it's kind of like make it as easy as possible, isn't it? But
Absolutely.
that's the solution, I guess. But I think we've got to wrap this up. There's a DJ starting in the background.
Yeah, right. Okay, then last question. So biggest takeaway from this year's Data Cloud for you both?
So far,
Yeah, so far, bearing
Having
we're
just
on day
kicked off.
one.
Yeah, day one.
Execution. It's all about execution now.
Yeah.
I think across the board, everyone's like, how do we deliver all this pipeline? So I think it's a good time for me to be alive.
no, but I agree. Sorry,
I think it's a good time to be in this industry. I agree.
but that's the crazy thing, isn't it? Like the delivery, the scale's ridiculous, and like
Yeah.
both of your solutions
Yeah.
help achieve that scale, which is why we wanted to talk to you both. But
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's getting to meet the actual decision makers here. So that's one of the things I love about coming to these events specifically, is you'll find the real decision makers within these hyperscalers, big developers are here. You can meet them face to face and have those frank conversations, and that's brilliant from our side.
and you can demonstrate your passion as well. Again, like Rory will say as well, just talking to you, you're passionate about what you're doing, and that's why you're successful.
I mean, I'll chuck this in there because it is my mantra, and it's something that Xela Energy really stands for, which is, if our energy is unsustainable, so is our existence, and that's really what we're trying to deliver to all of our end user customers. It's, yes, you can carry on buying your dirty power from the grid and greenwashing it or using regos to cover whatever, but fundamentally, if you don't procure sustainable power, data centers will be, and nearly are, one of the largest individual users of power globally. And they don't get a lot of good press, and we can change that, and we can deliver good press to them by giving them clean, sustainable power. So like I said, if our energy remains unsustainable, so will our existence.
Yeah, and if you want to scale quickly, you need technology like yours to be able to do it. Because, as I
Let's
say,
go.
there
Absolutely.
aren't people.
What are we waiting for?
Build
Yeah,
them
like-
quicker
Let's build it.
with sustainable power. Done.
There
Nice.
you go.
Job done.
I like it.
End
Round
of
up.
the
Finish.
mic drop moment. end of interview.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you so much, guys.
Appreciate
Really
it.
appreciate your
Thank you.
time. Cheers.